Have you ever taken a personality test? You know, one of those introspective questionnaires you take for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then once you're on the other side, it's revealed how you fit within a personality framework. Equipped with this knowledge, you can better understand yourself and how to navigate challenging situations. Well, I love these tests and have taken them throughout various stages in my life. Most recently though, one of my colleagues suggested that we take one of these tests as a team so we can use it to understand how we can all work better together. Here's how that went. The group chose one of my favorite personality frameworks, the Myers Briggs Type Indicator, which I've taken a handful of times. To this day, my results have come out to be the same, so I'm very confident in my assessment, but more on that later. This framework dates back to the early 20th century where Carl Jung, the great Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst who founded analytical psychology, came up with the theory of psychological types. In his written work, Jung proposes 4 main functions of consciousness: sensation, intuition, thinking, and feeling. By the 1920s, Jung's theory was picked up by Catherine Cook Briggs and her daughter, Isabel Briggs Myers, who were interested in developing a convenient way to describe the order of each person's Jungian preferences. This is now what we know to be the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. It was an enlightening experience to see the makeup of personalities represented on my design ops team, hear how everyone spoke about their personality, and get the opportunity to get a bit vulnerable and share about mine. But I wanted to take it a step further and learn even more. I want to learn how we can leverage this framework in more of a day-to-day context. What does the makeup of our team offer us? And what's the advantage of knowing our colleagues' personalities? Which is why I brought in an expert. My friend, Eric Wen, is a filmmaker, YouTuber, deep thinker, and excellent storyteller. In his work, he helps content creators rethink their storytelling so they can make a better impact with their work in the world. But what Eric's really good at is simply understanding people, their various personalities, and recognizing the superpowers that they have. Lucky for me, he's incredibly knowledgeable about the Myers-Briggs framework and has even started a whole new YouTube channel called Visual Personality to create a new way of explaining Myers-Briggs and cognitive functions that is fun, visual, entertaining, and practical for everyone. Make sure to take a look at both of Eric's YouTube channels in the description below. What are the different Myers-Briggs personality types and how do they fit together?
The way that I like to look at Myers-Briggs personality types is there's 16 personality types, and basically it's a really cool tool to give us insight into what our personality superpowers are. In life, if we were to boil things down way to the basics, the thing that we're doing all the time over and over again is we're taking in information and then we sort it out. We all have different ways of seeing things. We all have different ways of making decisions. We also sort and qualify things in a totally different way. And so the Myers-Briggs personality types, it gives us clues about what are our favorite lenses for the world? What are our favorite ways of sorting things out in this world, and how is that similar or different or connected to other people? On a surface level, the 16 personality types, it gives you a 4-letter code. It's 4 letters and something like ENFJ, ISTP, whatever. And most people's understanding of it is that it splits you up basically between, are you more on the introverted side? Are you more on the extroverted side? Are you more intuitive? Are you more sensing? Do your thoughts drive your feelings, or do your feelings drive your thoughts? J and P is talking about basically are you a more structured, organized person, or are you more flexible and spontaneous? The version of Myers-Briggs, though, that most people interact with on 16personalities.com, that's actually a very dramatic oversimplification of what's really going on. We all have an introverted side and an extroverted side. We all have a logical side of us and an emotional side of us. So yes, on the surface level, it's just saying, oh, you're an E, that means you're extroverted. That's good for big picture patterns and trends, but in terms of making it more practical and more nuanced and matching who you actually are, that's where they're called cognitive functions. So cognitive functions really come into play. The reason I like calling them personality superpowers is because if you practice seeing the world in a certain way, or if your brain is naturally wired to jump to certain types of information, you practice seeing the world in that way all the time, it gives you a personality superpower. That lens for the world is able to do things or pull things off that other people can't. And same thing with the decision-making styles, your way of sorting things out. There's certain contexts where other people might get super drained and exhausted, frustrated, freaked out, but then suddenly, if that's your favorite way of making decisions, suddenly you're thriving, you're energized, and all that sort of stuff. And so it's really cool seeing what different people bring to the table and how those personality superpowers all sort of work together and interact and collaborate and all that sort of stuff.
Okay, a couple of my colleagues and I are about to hop on a call with Eric to chat more about our personality test results. But before we do, I wanted to give you a little bit more context so you understand what I mean when I'm referring to my team. I work at a tech company called Zendesk. At Zendesk, we have various different departments like sales, marketing, engineering, and many more. The department I work under is called Creative. Within the creative department, we have 3 core organizations, and they are product design, brand, and design operations. I used to work under the product design organization, but just last year switched into design operations for my new role. My team, the team that took the Myers Briggs assessment, was the design operations team. On this call, you're going to meet Brandon and Brianna. Both of them joined our design operations team in 2020, while we have all been working remotely due to the pandemic. I haven't met either of them in person yet, although we are all based out of the San Francisco office. I'm hoping we'll all be able to meet in person at some point this year, but for now, Zoom calls and Myers Briggs will do.
I'm Brandon. I'm digital asset manager at Zendesk, recently joined the creative team with Alexa, and I'm responsible for partnering with the creative team and making sure that their needs and perspectives are met with all the creative tools that we use, one among them being the digital asset management tool.
Hello, my name is Brianna Thomas, and I am a design producer. And I've been at Zendesk for about 3 months, going on 3 months now.
Yeah, really great to meet you guys. I'm excited to talk about some of the personality stuff. Alexa, before this call, told me a little bit about your guys' personality types, and I have a little graphic and presentation. Alexa mentioned, so she is an ENFJ, Brandon, you're an INFJ, and then Brianna, you are an ISFJ. Yes, on the surface level, if it says I, you tend to be on the introverted side. If it says E, you tend to be on the extroverted side. But it's actually not really about how social you are. With Alexa, for her, these are her personality superpowers, and they're in this order. So her number 1 personality superpower is called extroverted feeling. Her second personality superpower is called introverted intuition. Her third personality superpower is called extroverted sensing. And her 4th personality superpower is called introverted thinking. Don't really worry about what those are right now, but basically those are the specific lenses and the specific decision-making styles that an ENFJ really like, and in that order. But then if you look at an INFJ, they have actually for an ENFJ and an INFJ, they have the same building block, but they're in different orders. So it actually plays out totally differently. And then if you look at an ISFJ, Brianna, you have totally different personality superpowers and in a different order. Where your personality type emerges is from these building blocks working together in a specific order. What's really cool about it is that when you really understand it, suddenly there's all these new opportunities to connect better with other people. Suddenly you're able to see your similarities and you're able to see your differences. You're able to bridge gaps that are really difficult to navigate normally. When I was looking at your guys' personality types, there's like a million patterns that are really interesting to unpack, but the main obvious ones are actually for all of you guys. Oh, so the higher up it is, that's like how much you practice it and prioritize it, how natural you are with it. So this one, the top 2 you're usually really good at. And then the bottom 2, they're still an important part of your personality, but they're on the back burner a little bit. They're a little clumsier. So if you notice though, that all 3 of you guys actually have extroverted feeling as one of your strongest personality superpowers that you practice all the time. Even though you guys are introverted, you guys actually use the extroverted feeling decision-making style all the time. What extroverted feeling is, it's a way of prioritizing things that likes thinking about the group, likes thinking about the needs of the group, likes factoring in the feelings and reactions and perspectives of the group. You guys are whenever you make a decision, you're very easily factoring in, how's this gonna make other people feel? What is their reaction to this going to be? What's appropriate to do? When you think about that stuff all the time, you naturally are very oriented to want to create emotional experiences for other people. You're very oriented around people dynamics, right? You have to go, oh, when I give that person that thing, it makes them happy. When I give this person this other thing, it's something different. And so being able to balance all of that and manage all that, that's one of the personality superpowers that actually all 3 of you guys share. So in order to appreciate what that means, I wanted to show you guys there's 2 actually emotional decision-making styles. Some personality types, the way that they like to sort out feelings, they like to look inward. Their sort of way of doing it is like, I'm gonna feel my feelings, all my feelings, and use that deep inner feeling to affect what I do, what I prioritize. So what happens with those personality types is that they are extremely authentic. They are very individualistic because they are just so in touch. Everyone's capable of being in touch with their feelings, but they use their personal feelings to guide what they do. I'm feeling this way, I'm gonna express it. I feel this way, I'm gonna express it. I feel something completely different 5 seconds later, I'm gonna express it. So the strength of this is that they are extremely authentic. They're constantly asking, what feels right to me at an individual level? And they use that to affect and color their decisions. And that decision-making style, it's called introverted feeling. And the introverted part doesn't mean that only introverts do it. It means that their way of doing feeling is they look inward. So the trade-off though is that the more and more you prioritize introverted feeling, there's going to be opportunities where you throw off the group, where you make people feel uncomfortable. You know, you might be expressing yourself because it feels right to you, but then other people are like, what the heck is this person doing? Or like, you're not supposed to say that. On the other hand though, there's the other emotional decision-making style that we've already talked about, which is the question they're always asking is, how does this make other people feel? And this is extroverted feeling, because when they make a feelings type of decision, they like doing it by looking outward, like outside of themselves. But the trade-off there is that the more you prioritize the needs of the group, the more you sacrifice your personal authenticity. So you suddenly are adjusting yourself to accommodate other people. You're adjusting yourself to bring people together. You're turning down your personality so that everyone can be on the same page. We're all in this together. We're all in this together. And so it's really fun and powerful to just be able to spot that so that you can connect better, appreciate other people better. It was sort of interesting to me that all three of you guys had extroverted feeling as priority. And I would assume that that actually probably helps you guys with your work, because you're constantly mediating, you're constantly bouncing everyone else's perspectives. Oh, this is what everyone else needs, and I'm going to advocate. Before we move on, do you guys have any comments or questions?
No, I mean, I think this totally makes sense, and it's interesting because we all have different jobs as well. So the fact that need is critical for all of our jobs to be successful is very interesting. And it's something we naturally do. So it's like, it makes me think like, oh, that means I could also do Alexa's job. I could also I have strength in Brandon's job as well, because all of those things make sense to us and are natural for us.
It's very interesting to see how, at least within the container that our roles kind of fit in, the priority here is, and the priority and the success metrics is how well are we engaging the group and how are we bringing everyone forward versus locking yourself in a room and just kind of going and doing your own thing and then kind of coming up with something that doesn't really fit the perspectives or the needs of everyone else.
Yeah, totally.
And I wonder have you all always been kind of naturally good at that? Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, it's interesting. Actually, Eric and I think have had a conversation about this recently, this idea of extroverted feeling versus introverted feeling. And I had never thought about it in this way. And now I think I can visualize even someone that I know who I think is more introverted feeling, and wow, that just makes so much sense. They really truly are so authentically themselves, but I can see how they are focused on, I think, just how they feel and expressing that, versus I know for me that makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable, and I'm always thinking about other people, how other people are feeling. I want to create that harmony. So it's cool to just be able to recognize that. And then also just knowing all of our roles in design operations at Zendesk, it is really harmony focused. So it's cool that we have all of that in common.
Yeah. And there's other arenas where introverted feeling is actually necessary. It plays to their strengths, where you need someone to be really bringing a lot of powerful authenticity to the table, where they're going, no, this specific feeling is what I'm feeling and what I think you are feeling. But in other arenas where you need to move groups of people together, extroverted feeling helps out a lot. It's funny because also extroverted feelers tend to relate to sort of a chameleon type of thing, where they can just they're just constantly adjusting. Their personality is sort of changing, or not literally changing, but they make all these adjustments to fit whatever environment that they're in. And for introverted feelers, right, or other people, it's important to understand that and appreciate that just because this is what's happening on the surface here, you have to know that there's actually other calculations going on beneath the surface, right? Just because I'm blending in all the time doesn't mean that that's actually who I am.
Huge thanks to Eric for walking us through some of these patterns he noticed in our personalities. If you haven't yet tried something like this with your team, I highly recommend it. The Myers Briggs personality assessment is free to take, and then all you have to do is see if your colleagues are interested in trying it out as well. Then just set up a meeting together to talk through your results. Like Eric mentioned, there's a lot to learn about this framework outside of what's provided in the personality profiles. So make sure to check out Eric's 2 YouTube channels to keep learning more, especially since he's dedicated to making all of them much more visual and easier to understand. Like I said, the 2 channels will be linked in the description below. All right, I'd love to hear what you think about these sort of team bonding exercises. Have you tried this before? How'd it go? Are you going to give it a go now with your team? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already for more fun career-related content like this video. That's all for now, my friends. I hope to see you next time. Bye.